Thank you, Andrea. Can you please allow me to share my screen?
I thought I had done it, but I will do it again if it didn't work yet. Yeah, there you are.
Yes, now since it's, let's see, this one. Do you see the presentation?
Yes.
The full screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as Andrea was mentioning, I'm going to try in this presentation to inspire you in how engaging citizens can help in building healthier cities, especially when regarding to improving air quality. I think you are all aware that air pollution is a big problem nowadays. This is some figures from the World Health Organization, and also it's a big problem in Europe, where many people and many lives are prematurely lost due to bad air quality. The way we monitor air pollution nowadays is with these big stations that you can see on the left side, and they are very complex, and they require a high maintenance, what would make them very expensive, and also not every city can afford them, and in any case, even the cities that can afford them, they only can have a few of them. So there are many neighborhoods that are uncovered. On the good side, they are very accurate and provide us really good data that we can use in policy making. But the goal of NILU and many other research institutes nowadays is to also engage citizens in monitoring air pollution, so we can complement this data that we do have from the reference stations. And to do that, we are using what we call low-cost sensors. They are small, portable, they are easy to operate, so we can have larger networks of sensors. But we need to work with the uncertainty, and that's a little bit what I'm going also, like NILU has been research has been in the last years on how to create algorithms that allow us to improve the data that is gathered by the citizens, so it can go into policy making in a easier way that is nowadays. And we started at NILU in engaging citizens in 2012. Then we got this European project, Citizens, where it was yet not called citizen science, it was this citizens observatories. But nevertheless, it was about bringing citizens into scientific projects in a more engaging way that has been done so far. And since then, we've been working in many projects where we try always to bring citizens on board and engage them in our research. And I will go a little bit through this last year's projects that we had, in a way to try to inspire you in many ways you can involve citizens and work with them. Just before I say I go into the citizen science project, also just to mention that when we work very much with sensors, and one of the problems with the sensors is the accuracy. So we dedicated this project, FLINK, to build a data infrastructure that allow us to have real-time quality control over the data from the sensors, both sensors operated by experts and sensors operated by citizens. And also one of the works we are conducting is to merge the data that are collected by citizens with reference and model data to create this type of maps. This is Oslo, this is nitrogen dioxide, and here you can see the diurnal cycle of NO2. This is possible thanks to citizens' data. This is also like one of the things I would like to explore is how to also then communicate the data that the citizens are collecting and engage more citizens. We are working also on art installations and another way to make information easily available to citizens and open a dialogue in the streets. This is also like one of the projects engaging students into building sensors. So that then they will use to monitor the air quality in this case in their schools and in the surrounding of their schools. This is different type of sensors they build, and then they also, as a scientist, they presented the results they got to the rest of the class and to the rest of other schools in Oslo in a conference, in a school conference we organized together with them. This is another project that's part of the Oslo European Green Capital, where we went not for low cost, but low tech sensor in order to engage even the younger kids, is 8-9-year-old kids in monitoring air pollution. We were using basically paper and Vaseline, and they monitor air pollution in the surroundings. This is, of course, a very uncertain method, but we did an effort to quantify the relation between the dust collected in the paper and Vaseline and the large particles PM10 in our reference station. So this graph you can see here is the correlation between the dust in the air, paper and Vaseline and the data from the reference stations. And using this, we built this indicative scale of the level of air pollution. And this is the picture of the kids working in analyzing the data. So we think it's very important to bring into the equation the younger generation. We collected many measurements, almost 300 measurements. This was also part of the European Clean Air Day organized by ECSA, and managed to have a publication out of it. Another way also we are involving citizens is this opening dialogue to them and involve them in a better way in processes that are ongoing in their municipalities. So in Nordic Path, we work together with the municipalities and together with citizens, and the role of the project is to see how we can facilitate that municipal processes engage in a good way citizens from the very beginning in each stage, and not just giving information through questionnaires, but also through co-creation workshops, and that citizens can participate in many ways. We are organizing this in urban labs in Nordic countries, in Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland. And as well, we give the citizens sensors to monitor their pollution in the surroundings. This is Kristiansand in Norway. This is citizen collected data. We had around 30 sensors in citizens' houses. And this is what the citizens measured. We could see to the citizens' data that actually air pollution is a big problem in Kristiansand in some of the areas due to wood burning, and we measure levels that we were not thinking they will be so high. So this was we brought this data to the municipality, and now they open the discussion on what they can do to improve this air pollution. And we had also a co-creation workshop, municipality and citizens to look for solutions. This is how scientists, we have used the data from the citizens. You can see here in the left side, this is our air quality model on the background, and you can see it's all blue. That means like no problem with air pollution in Kristiansand. However, the data from the citizens that is collected there on the spot is telling us otherwise. Like we have here some red spots. So we have merged the citizen data and our model, and then we can see that the areas where air pollution is actually high and our model was not able to capture it. So citizens data is helping us very much here. We asked the citizens what we can do, what can we do, because wood burning actually is very much into the culture in Norway. So it's not as easy as just banning it. And even in the areas where air pollution is high, so we enter into a with the citizens, what can we do? And we are now in the process of, together with the municipality, see what can actually put in place to help this problem. But we are happy. This is some of the data we collected from citizens where they think air pollution is a problem. And so you can see they actually think it's a problem all over the city, as we saw with the sensor. So the project made it also to the main journal in Norway. And here it can be read in Norwegian that this is a citizen scientist. He hung up an air quality sensor in Kristiansand and realized the air quality is as bad as in China. So it was a very good thing. And we have also collaborating in other projects in Poland, for example, where we also talk about wood burning with the citizens. We are engaging them in air quality monitoring. We put about 100 sensors in this city, and we will do engage them in also in air virtual experience through virtual reality. So they can, it's a project together with psychologists, and the idea is to see if through virtual reality and experiencing this air pollution in another way, people change their behavior. And so this is another way of engaging citizens also. Another project in Poland, also more towards collaborative local decarbonization. In this project, we will engage citizens and so in co-creating and in building possible and feasible scenarios for decarbonization together with them. So in these projects, it's like we don't want top-down policies, but also like bottom-up. Always bring the citizens from the very beginning to find solutions. We also, like other type of sensors we are using in other projects, are also wearable sensors, biometric sensors, see how people feels heat islands in the cities, especially elderly population. So that's another project where we bring citizens. I will not call this project a citizen science project, as the elderly will not be so engaged in the science behind this project, but they will be always not just a mere participant, but they will be part of all the process, and we will explain the science behind to them and always engage them more than just a volunteer. And another very important topics in air quality, where it's important to engage citizens in co-creating their city, in monitoring and bringing solutions, is also mobility. This is a project we will have in Warsaw where people is also using a lot their car, and how can we build a city that is for people and not for cars. It's a complex project where citizens will be at the center. And this also another project we will be starting this year also on involving citizens in monitoring and organizing these participatory designs workshops together with them. And as I said, for NILU, citizen science has also put citizens into the center of policy, into the center of finding solutions, because otherwise we realize that the problem of air quality in cities is too complicated just to be solved by scientists and policymakers. We need citizens. They know their city, they know, and we need to listen to them. And with this, I finish my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Núria. That was a incredible presentation of very engaging projects. I'm surprised about many things about them. Just a second. So you are still sharing your presentation?
I will stop sharing now. Sorry.
Thank
Is
you.
that fine, right?
Yes. I would like to give the floor if you have some questions, and or while you think about some questions, I would like to ask you, Núria, some things, because you showed a very nice variety of projects where the engagement was, in my opinion, very high, or the level of, we have spoken here in our training about the levels of participation, and I think in most of your cases the level of participation is quite high. It would be like in extreme citizen science with the category of Muki Haklai. And I was wondering if it's if how interested are people in joining your projects? Is that recruiting people and getting them on board? Do you invest a lot of time? Do you invest a lot of resources, financial resources, human resources? How is that process when it comes to bring citizens?
I would say it's very challenging, because even if we manage to get many citizens on board, like through the recruiting, there's still many behind, in a city of I think, like, for example, I will put the example of Mieszko in Poland, where we wanted to have 100 citizens, right? And we managed to have them. But our Polish partner, he sent 6,000 invitations by post, not email or Facebook, that we did also all that, but he sent 6,000 invitations by post, like a postcard that citizens could just send back and say, I want to be part of it. And we didn't manage to get so many back of those. And they are thinking now in doing this psychological approach on why citizens are actually not so much engaged in problems that actually are there, right? Because it's their city, it's their streets, it's the air they are breathing, right? What we are talking about. So we, I would say it's challenging. It's challenging, and I do not know the causes, and also like have them to participate in long-term projects, right? That's always it requires effort, I would say. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And could somebody from our participants share some thoughts about your view, would a project like the ones that Núria presented be possible, or how engaged would be people in Lviv, for example, in a project about air pollution? Maybe you can share it in Ukrainian, and Dimitro could later translate. It's open, or you can write in the chat some ideas. I'm curious to know what are your views on this.
Yeah, I can. So about Earth, I think the motivation can be about the data from government and from citizen scientists can be more different. Yeah, normally, as Núria said, government said it's okay, it's everything okay. We have a great environment and no problem. And it is a motivation for people, for participants to check this data and check the results. Probably about environment, about health. So I think it can be okay to enjoy a lot of participants, not only in Lviv, but in where the environmental situation is not so good as citizens want. And it's about earth, it's about water, about basic needs of things.
Yeah, I think when people sees a benefit, a direct benefit for them, then it's easier. And maybe also going back to the question from Andrea, maybe it's not necessary to engage everyone from the very beginning, because that's very difficult. But even if you don't manage to engage everyone in the street, you can engage the front runners, and they will bring more when they are talking with their neighbor, right? And so I think it's a snowball process that slowly will filtrate into the entire population, or in a high percentage. But maybe we should not aim at the beginning to have everyone, but just little by little show the benefit.
And by that point of view, there are two questions to Núria. First, it's what is a typical portrait of citizen scientists? I know youth, maybe activists, maybe students, retirees, and so on. And second one about what tools you use for data collection and demonstration of results, maybe some beautiful as you showed us. What tools?
Yeah, answering your first question, I don't think we do have a profile of citizen scientists, but I think, like, for example, when there are projects that are more targeted to schools, and then you get the students. But in other projects like this Nordic Path, we wanted to target the entire population in the city, right? So we didn't target the students or anyone in particular, but just some neighborhoods. And then I think we get more like I would say like middle age and a little bit kind of educated people. I think that's because we are using sensors, maybe people that is more prone to some technology and less scared of it. But we also now are trying to use sensors that are very easy to be mounted. So then we don't put behind, people that is not so technologically driven. But I think if you want to target other parts of the population, then you need to do an effort. Otherwise, I think it gets easily, at least in Nordic countries, very biased to the portrait of white, middle class, educated man. So at least in this type of sensor technology projects, that's my feeling. But I don't have a full overview. And regarding the tools, we decided to build in a project our own a platform to gather the data from the different sensors we are using. And we are using always open tools like R packages for the visualization. So we are also very open to collaborate or to help in how are we doing the data simulation if you would like to talk with us, and so we are very open and sharing this.
Great, thanks.
Núria, I am curious if you can share some insights of this that happened when I remember you showed some maps of the area Kristiansand, and they had covered that.
Yes.
They were saying, we have very good air quality, and then citizens start tracking the real situation, and then red spots appeared, and then they had to change the map. So how was that process?
Yes.
For the authorities and validating your contribution and showing them, well, it's not as good as you are showing.
Yes, well, I have to say, in the case of Kristiansand, we had from the very beginning a very good dialogue from the municipality. And it might be maybe different from other municipalities, but in the case of Kristiansand, and in the case of the persons we are working in the municipality, they really want to improve air pollution. And sometimes they fight with citizens because they want to put measures in place to improve air pollution, and citizens don't want, because they, so in this case, in this municipalities in Norway, I think is bringing both together. So citizens to be aware that actually the air is not as good as they think, and then the municipality also have more data that can help them in the planning process. But one of the things we did to validate citizens collecting data is we brought one a reference instrument into that area. So in that sense, that to kind of show that the citizens collected data was good, was trustable. So that is also something, because it's something in the project on citizen science on air pollution is something that it's always missing, right? Like a citizen might be collecting data and showing some values, but they will say, oh, it's a sensor, it's very uncertain, we don't believe them. So this is the process that we want to overcome, how to stamp good citizen science data, right? And in air pollution, it might not be the case in other type of collection, but in air pollution, that's a big problem nowadays.
Amazing, very, very interesting.
Thank you, Andrea.
I have many questions, actually. I could stay with Núria asking her many things, because really the cases you showed, but of course the floor is open, so just let me know if somebody has another question, and we also have to stick to the time. If somebody has another comment, or I can make another last question about I'm curious about the cultural way that the weight that culture has when we are talking about citizen science, because you are interacting with Poland, and Norway and Poland, they are different ways of thinking, different countries. So what could you share about this, about the cultural aspects of cities? Even within a country, different cities has their own personality and way of living. So is there something relevant to share about this?
Yeah, I think when collecting, of course, when collecting data for air pollution with sensors, the technology is the same, the data standards are the same. So that is very much the same, right? But when you go to the next step, right, and then you want to interpret the data with them and look for solutions, that I think is very much cultural oriented, and there we have different approaches or different topics in the workshop with the citizens, right? Like in Norway, it will be more like they think on wood burning as this cozy traditional thing, right? They don't really need it to heat their house, but they will think about it as a more cultural. While in Poland, it has also this cultural aspect, but it's also very linked with the economy of the country, and so it has other ways, other discussions that are to be brought. So it's always very important to know the background of the citizens, and that I found is easily to engage them if you come from the same culture. That if you are from a foreign institute and want to do citizen science in Poland, I think it's easier if it's the Polish partner that engage with the Polish citizens, less barriers.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Very, very interesting insights. Okay, if we don't have any questions, any more questions or comments, I would like to thank you, Núria, for this.
Yes.
Yeah, this.
Thank you very much. And if some question arise after, they can always send me an email. I will be happy to answer.
Thank you for that. That's very important. And now I will stop the recording.